In the mid-19th century, international politics were on a strikingly shaky foundation. Unlikely bedfellows, the United Kingdom and France, had recently formed an alliance to counterbalance the growing influence of the Russian Empire. Despite their shared strategic interests, trust between these two historic rivals was, understandably, scarce. Then came a story that very few people outside of history buffs know about. A boat race that miraculously saved this precarious alliance. Yes, you heard that right. A boat race. It was 1854, a time when Europe was rife with geopolitical tension. The Crimean War was imminent. This was a war where alliances weren't optional. Britain and France needed to set aside centuries of enmity. But as it is true today, ego, mistrust, and political anxiety marred their diplomatic engagements. At the time, cultural differences fed into misunderstandings. Britain's stiff upper-lip conservatism and France's emotional vigor clashed like oil and water. Fast forward to that pivotal spring day. The French and British naval officers stationed in Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, had built up camaraderie through long discussions in cafes, joint drills, and diplomatic dinners. Yet, beneath the surface, mistrust was brewing. Naval superiority was a critical issue, and fleet exercises sometimes felt more like contests. The underlying question that soured many relations was simple: who had the better sailors? One day, Admiral Louis Eudes of the French forces proposed a daring test, a friendly boat race on the Bosphorus Strait. Two teams would compete, one from the French Navy and the other from the British Navy. While the diplomats hesitated, fearing a loss could only deepen divisions, the officers saw it in one bold light: an opportunity to settle their disputes on the water. The race would become the symbolic olive branch. The days leading up to the event turned the naval quarters of both nations into buzzing hives of activity. Sailors trained relentlessly while bets were exchanged and strategies whispered. The checkpoint locations were determined along the famously treacherous waters of the Bosphorus, known for its unpredictable currents. When race day arrived, it seemed as if all of Constantinople came alive to watch. Each nation's sailors took their positions. The French rowers, sleek and methodical, exuded precision as they navigated towards the starting point, their crisp white uniforms gleaming in the sun. Meanwhile, the British, known for their resilience, radiated a quiet confidence. The signal to start went off. The vessels glided forward. It wasn't just a boat race. It became an allegory of their respective national virtues. As they battled the elements and one another, cheers arose from the crowd, lined along the Bosphorus. Leaders from both forces watched nervously, their eyes betraying the stakes behind this informal competition. What unfolded defied expectations. Near the finish line, the French lead boat capsized due to the treacherous currents. What occurred next changed history. Without hesitation, the British team abandoned their sprint to victory and rescued the capsized French sailors. This wasn't just sportsmanship. It was a signal to every single observer that trust and unity were more significant than victory. This act of solidarity stunned the crowd and reduced cynicism to ripples on the surface. In the days following, the French and British navies held a formal ceremony to celebrate the spirit of cooperation. The alliance was not only salvaged, but strengthened through an unparalleled sense of camaraderie that few formal treaties could ever truly hope to achieve. That boat race, seemingly trivial, became a legend whispered among historians. It paved the way for Britain and France to march together into the Crimean War, forgetting past grievances, even if momentarily. It remains a story on how shared hardships and uncertain waters can bring even adversaries together. This was the boat race that saved an alliance. History really is full of surprises, don't you think? So the next time you see a simple sporting event, remember, it might just change the world.